Hello everyone, meet the Data for Impact team.
From text to logical to math to statistical, date and time, and then finally lookup functions. Then we'll also go into some of the other key functions that can help gel everything together.
Hello everyone, so as we discussed, if you look at this data here, we have taken this data from our data tool, assuming that we collected this data, right, and we want to analyze this data. So you see that for the purpose of this video, I had to copy right from outcome here, okay, from this outcome column right up to this total children here, okay, total children, right? So if I go back to my new sheet here, I had to paste here, and I pasted without the formulas, okay, just pasting with the numbers which we have seen before. So here you see that I want to analyze this data, and I want to be using count, I want to be using count A, I want to be using CountUnique, I want to be using Countif, and I want to be using Sumif. This is very important, and we'll be looking at different scenarios that this can happen. So right now we want to do some very simple calculations here. For instance, I'll just go into my system, into this cell here, and I click equals to. Remember that before you perform a formula or function in Excel, you have to start with an equals to. So I'll say equals to, and I'll write my count, right, and I click my tab. So it says table, so value, sorry. So now I want to be counting. I want to be able to just count. I want to know how many activities that we are doing, or I want to just count these different cells. Now counting the cells here will tell me how many times I have inputted data here, okay, and then I come here and then I click my tab. It tells me 17 times. So if I count here, it will give me 17 times that I have put in data here. Now there's a difference between count and count A. Remember that it was able to count because I reference this column that has values, that has numbers, okay. So if I come here to count again, and I double click, and then I now, instead of referencing this cell with value, I came here and I reference this cell now with text, you see, and I click my tab. You see that it gives me 0. It doesn't count because the rules of Excel says it only counts when you have numbers. Now I can double click again, and then I go back and I reference the numbers, you see, and then what it's doing here is that it's just counting the different cells, right, and I click my tab. Now when I click in my formula, you see that it appears up here, so I can come and manage my formula from this formula bar. Take note of that. If I go now to count and I click equals to, and I click my count and I bring A, I click my tab, it says value. Now I want to count. This is very important. For instance, you might want to know how many activities that partners are carrying out, right? I'll come here now and I reference. When I reference this and then I click my tab, it still gives me 17. Why? Because it is still linking with the numbers. So this 20 is linking with education, etc., etc., and it is still counting the column and the rows and the cells, but we have added count A because we want to be counting text. Here now it could count because I've put count A, so it was able to count this text. Previously we could not count the text because I was using just the count option. Now we have the CountUnique equals to. I'll now write my count A, comma, and then I go inside this other column and I write unique. Very easy, guys, very easy. Please make sure you are using the updated version of Excel 365. It's very important. This is why it is important to have these tools. Now you see that I just write equals to count A, and then bracket automatically opens by clicking tab on my machine, and then I just write unique inside. I'm going to come again now and I come to these activities and then I reference, right, and then I come back here and I click tab and I click OK, right? It is insisted. Now it says 4. Why does it say 4? It's very important. Learn this particular formula very well. It is now telling me that there are 4 unique values. It means that in real terms there are 4 activities that we are doing, which is providing referrals 1, tutor and teaching 2, data cleaning 3, and what again? and what, and distribution of hygiene kit 4. Okay, so it says that amongst all this data, we have 4 unique data that are there. Take note of that. Now I want to do CountIf. CountIf is so important. Just follow me carefully. I might want to count how many times education projects have appeared. Okay, so now I have written CountIf, and it is asking me for 2 things: my range and my criteria. I'm going to go under that column that has sector, because I want to look at education, right? I'll select the range. I'll say out of this range, comma, I come back here, I will put comma. So I have referenced that it says C2 colon C18, from C2 to C18, right? Comma, and then it says the criteria. I'll now say education. I'll go back then and say the criteria here is that I want to be counting education, and then I'll select. You can select education from anywhere. Okay, it will signal and know that you want it to count only education items. I'll come here now, and then I put my bracket and I click with my tab. So it says 6. It tells me that education appears here 6 times. I can do the same for wash, equals to, and I say CountIf. So it's a conditional statement, and it says range. I come again under wash again, under that sector, because that is where my items are found. Okay, and then I come under my formula bar without necessarily going there. I click comma, and then I come now and I select wash instead of selecting education. I can select it anywhere. I can select wash from here, I can select it from here, anywhere. Just make sure you select it around this range. Okay, and then I close my bracket and I click OK. Sorry, I click OK. Now it gives me 6 as well. It says it appears 6 times. So this is how you can use your CountIf. Now let's say I want to know how many boys, okay, education boys, for instance, sorry, education boys. So I want to know how many boys have been reached using the education project, and how many girls have been reached using the wash project. Please, this is just for the purpose of this video. You can be more flexible and do a lot of amazing things here. Okay, so I'll just delete these formulas. Remember, we are coming from CountIf. Now we want to do SumIf. I'll come under here now. With SumIf, it is different, but it's slightly different. I'll say equals to, and I'll start writing my sum, and I write if, and I click my tab. It says range. I'll come now, since I'm looking for education under this particular set, since education is part of this sector, I'll come now and I'll select. That's the first range, right? It says this range, and I click comma. It now says criteria. I'll go back again and I say I want to be checking education, and I'll click my education. That's the second option. I select, I put comma. Remember, we have chosen our range, which is under the whole of the sector. We have chosen our criteria, which is education that we have referenced. Now we want to look at sum of range. Remember, we want to look at the boys. You now select the column that has boys. This is the column, and then you also select, because this is the sum of range. You want to be summing from here, and then you close your bracket and you click OK. You click your tab. So it says that out of education, you have reached out to 138 boys. If you come here and do the math, you will see that you have the same. So what you are doing is, you are saying that out of this sector, okay, I want to choose education, and anywhere there is education, it comes, follows, and then comes to the boys here and takes this data, look at where there is education, come here and take this data, goes up and look at where there is education, comes here and take this data and sums up that data and gives you relating to just this sector. Someone is asking, can we also do that for activities? Yes. Let's say we want to look at activities, right? We want to look at activities, right? Activities. Girls. Okay? We will come here now and we click equals to SumIf, and then we click our tab. It says range, right? You now go under your activities. Now these are the different activities, and then we now select. That's the range. We will now come now here, we click comma, and then it says criteria. So the criteria that we want to look at now, we want to be looking at tutoring and teaching, or we want to be looking at data and training. So I'll now select the criteria and say, out of this activity, all these activities, I want to focus on data training. So once I reference that I want to focus on data training, you can see that the first range that I selected is still visible. It's still showing me that I've selected a certain range. So out of this certain range, or this range, I want to be selecting, or want to be counting the total number of girls that relate to data training. So I select that and I click my comma, and then I come now and choose. Remember, I want to be selecting among the girls, right? I'll also come here and I reference the girls. You see that all my data is being referenced. This one is still being referenced, showing that I want to select from among the activities. It is now showing me that among that activities, this is the particular activity I want to be counting. And then it also shows me that the activity that I want to be counting total number of girls that relate to that activity. Now I'll close my bracket and I click my tab. You see, it tells me that that particular activity, which is data training, we have 30 girls. So this is how quick you can manage your data. I just want you to be flexible. Okay, you can do it in many scenarios. You can still come here and instead of referencing girls, you reference boys. Okay, instead of referencing total children, you reference total status or returnee. Is the same thing. You can still decide to say, okay, I want to be looking at the outcome. You still reference your outcome instead of activities. So don't cram the process. Okay, don't cram it. Just understand the formulas and use them and enjoy them. So we have just finished from Countif, Sumif, and Count A and Count. We want to look at VLOOKUP, what VLOOKUP can do in your data. If you look at this data here, I have beneficiary code, I have the items that they receive, I have the date, I have the region, I have the division, I have the subdivision, I have the quantities. Okay? And just take a scenario where someone maybe wants to know what is happening with the data. Maybe a certain code, you want to find out where they are coming from, what item they receive, and what, yes, the region and subdivision and division. And then let's say I want to find out about code BO12, and I click. You see that automatically it goes and pick and tells me that code B12 is coming from Mezam, Bamenda 2, Food Basket. Please don't mind, maybe the divisions are not matching, that's not the point here. I just want to let you know that how to use these formulas. Okay, if I come here again and I double click and I come here and I say BO13 and I select, you see it is telling me that okay, this person BO13 is coming from FACO, TICO, and they collected sleeping mats. This is very important. You see that it's automatically picking here, so it helps you to refresh and go back to your data and find out what is happening and what's not happening. And please don't cram the process. I could still decide to put quantities so that it picks quantities for me. Now you might be asking, why is this happening? This is because in Excel, this cell is related to this cell, is related to this cell, is related to this cell. So when it picks this cell, it comes and picks this cell, come and pick this cell. So this particular line here relates to one individual. So if you bring the code on, it picks the item, picks the date, etc., etc., depending on how you wrote the codes. So let me show you how I designed these codes. Let's move. So to design this code, the first rule of thumb is with VLOOKUP, anytime you want to decide what you want to be calling out from here, you have to make it appear in the first column, like this, the first column. Okay, because now I want to be writing their code and picking these other items. Let's say you wanted to be writing their division and picking every other item, you will need to bring this division to this first column. That's the first rule. It's very important. Now let me start. I'll come here now because I want to be picking the divisions. I'll click now in the divisions and I click equals to VLOOKUP, right? And I click my tab. It now says lookup value. Which value do I want to be looking up? I want to be looking up these codes, right? I'll come and select this area. I want to be writing the code here, and then it is picking the division, subdivision, and items. And then I click my comma. The next thing it says is table array. So I'll select this table right from the header here, all the table, because I want all the table to be involved, right? Perfect. And I select that. Once I select that, the next thing I'll do now is I'll click my comma again. It now says column index. This is very important. You see that as I'm moving, the formulas are taking their shape. Now what is column index? It's simply the count of the different columns. Okay, so now you have to start counting from the first column. So I'll start counting and see where division falls. I'll now count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So division falls in column 5. So what I'll do, I'll just write 5, and then I'll now close my bracket, right? And I'll click my tab. Now when I come here and I say code B012, you see it says Mesam. Code B013, it says Fako. Code B014, it says Meme, because they are already linked here. Okay, please don't mind, maybe the divisions are not correct. Just have the common practice that it has to be linking. Okay, so it picks a code here and then selects what is there. Now you see that only the divisions are appearing. Let me create another one for subdivisions. I did this to show you practically and regularly, to show you how you can learn it, right? So equals to V lookup, that's it there. Lookup range, I'll still reference this particular cell because I want to be writing still in this cell, because I want you to be linking with the same cell, right? Comma, and then it says table array. I'll come again and I'll select the whole of this table. It's the same thing we are doing, I'll select the whole of this table like this. Perfect. And then I'll come up here very briefly and I'll say comma again, and it says column index. Now I'll ask a question: where is subdivision found? Number how many column index? I'll start counting from the first column, right? 1 2 3 4 5 6. So subdivision falls in number 6. I'll click that and I close my bracket and I click my tab. You see, the moment I click my tab, it automatically tells me Kumba. So if I come here again and I pick B012, so it gives me the division and then goes and pick the subdivision. If I come here again and I click 13, you see Fako, Tico. Are you seeing now? I'll come again to item here and I click my equals to VLOOKUP, and then I come to lookup value. I want to be writing it in this same area, and comma, and then table array. I still want to be dealing with the same table, right? I'll select the whole of this table. Please, it's the same exercise. We have not changed anything. It's the same exercise. The different columns are just changing and the names are changing. I'll now come here. I can start managing this right from my formula bar here. I'll come here and I put comma. Now the next thing he asks me is column index. Okay, so you see that column index is it has a bold color, because it is telling me that these actions have already been taken. This is what is left. I'll now ask, where do we have our items, right? In which column index? 1 2. We have it in column 2, and I write 2, and then I close my bracket and I click my tab. When I click my tab, automatically it tells me that the code, this code refers to the name of the child. We don't want to be mentioning the name of the child, right? Data protection. So it says code B013 is from Fako and Tico and receive sleeping mat, right? If I come here and I write 14, it changes. It says Meme Kumba receive hygiene kit. If I come here and I write 12, you see B012, it changes. It says Mezam Bamenda 2 food basket. If I come again here and I click my equals to VLOOKUP, right? And then it says lookup value, right? And I still want to be referencing here. And then I click my comma, and then I say table array. I come here now and I select the whole of my table. You see the whole of my table here. And then while I select the whole of my table here, and then I told you I can come to my formula bar and I click comma, and then it tells me column index. So where's my region? 1 2 3 4. It falls on the 4th column, and I click 4th. Okay, and then all I need to do now is just to close my bracket and I click OK. You see that the regions are already appearing as well. So if I come here and I click maybe 13, it tells me, whoa, Fako, Tico, sleeping mat from Southwest. If I come here and I click 14, if I come here and I click BO14, it tells me, oh, Meme Kumba hygiene kit from Southwest. So this is how you can practically use the VLOOKUP to quickly pick data from your system and help you in data management. So the last part of this video is we are moving now from VLOOKUP to XLOOKUP. XLOOKUP is found in the highest version of Excel 2021 and also 365. That is why it is important to get your updated tools, right? See how simple XLOOKUP is compared to VLOOKUP. I want to do the same activities here. Okay, let's see what is going to happen now, right? So I want to click The same way we did for VLOOKUP, I click equals to, and I'll now write XLOOKUP. Some of you might not have this because you have the lower version of Excel, which is okay, right? Just make sure you get a new version. Now it says lookup value, right? We have referenced the same cell, right? And we put equal a comma. It now says lookup array. Now you can select any table anytime. The lookup array here is that I want to be selecting the codes, right? I'll come here now and I select my code. I select this array. Instead of selecting all the tables, I will just select my codes here, the column for the code, right? I'll just reference this column for the code. And then I come here now, comma. It now says return array. What do I want to be returning? I want to be returning the divisions, right? I'll come to my division again after having put my comma and I select. You see, very easy, made life easy for you. Now I come again and then I say comma. It now asks me whether it's absolute match. It's a search match. So it asks me whether it's absolute or partial match. I want absolute match. I'll put 0, right? And then I close my bracket and I click OK. So if I come here now and I put B14, it turns to meme. If I come here and I double click and I put B, maybe B12, sorry, B12, it gives me Momo. If I come here and I put B14, you see, meme, it gives me, if I put B13, it gives me Fako. So this is how it is, right? Okay. So I can also do it for my subdivision. If I come here and I click equals to, and I write XLOOKUP, right, tab, it says lookup value, and I want to be referencing this same area where I'll be putting the values, and I click comma, and it says lookup array. I want to be looking up the code, and then it gives me the subdivision, right? I come again to my code here. I just select that column. I just reference that column. I don't need to reference the whole table, guys. And then here again, I come again here and I click my comma, and then it says return array. I want to be returning the subdivisions, right? I come here and I click. No, and I reference, right, that range. That is why I calls it an array, and I say comma. And then now if I come up to my formula bar here, there's something I want to see. If all this doesn't apply, I want to be seeing no item, and then close my quotations. Each time you are performing a quotation, you have to put it in quotes. You want to write text because you are writing a quote, not a normal language, right? And I click my tab. Now if I come here and nothing is found here, it says no item. Do you see now? It shows that no item. Previously we put a 0, now we have put no item. So anytime this cell is empty, we are saying that give us no item. But if the cells are on, then we want to see an item, kumba meme. So I can do the same here. Just come here, click my equals to XLOOKUP, and then it says lookup value, and I select this area because this is where I want to be writing my values, and I put my comma. It says lookup array. Array here means select the whole of that area, right? And I select this. Okay, I'm doing this multiple times so you can see, and then I'll click my comma, and then the next thing I'll see here is return the array. I want it to return the items. I'll go now to items, and then I reference. I want it to be referencing and returning these items, right? I want to be calling up these items, and then here again I'll click my comma, and then what do I want to see if all this doesn't match? I want to see, just give me 0, and then I close, and then I click my tab. You see it says Kumba hygiene. So if I come here again and then I put maybe 13, it changes, right? It gives me different options. So here again I can still click OK, the same exercise again, click my tab, it gives me XLOOKUP, and I says lookup array, and then I want to be putting it here. Someone is asking, must we put it in this cell? Okay, I can decide I want to be putting in the second cell here, you see. But if I do it here now, it will only apply to this particular area because I have changed. Remember that all these cells are have been relating to this particular area here. All these other cells have been referencing and relating to this particular cell here. Take note of that. So if we reference this other cell and we click comma, and it says lookup array, and now we still want to be referencing the code, right? We want to be calling up the code, and then I come here, take this option, and then I go down here, and then I click my comma, and then I come now, it says return array. I want to be returning the regions, right? Where is my region here? And I go, and then I reference and I select my region, and then I come down here, and then I click comma. You see, what do I want to be seen up here? I want to be seen 0, and then I close. Okay, and I click my tab. You see, so when I come here now under here and I click my my BO13, you see that it gives me northwest. So only this is reacting because this item here was referenced but in this cell. So I just did this to show you how flexible you can be, okay? So you just need to focus on just one. Now, someone is still asking that we are only using quotes, right, and calling the other divisions. With XLOOKUP, like I said, you can move anyhow and anytime. With VLOOKUP also, if you want to be calling the subdivisions, you have to make them appear first here. If you want to be calling the items, you have to make them appear first. But with XLOOKUP, that protocol does not hold. Let's say I want to be looking at the divisions, right? Sorry, the divisions, and then I want the quotes to be appearing, right? Perfect. Now I'll just come here, equals to XLOOKUP. No, sorry, XLOOKUP, right? And then it says lookup value. I want to be writing the divisions under here, right, comma, and then lookup array. I'll now go under the divisions because these are the things I want to be writing and then calling up the code, right? Good. Among this family here, I'll click comma, and then I'll also go now. It says return array. I want to be returning the codes, right? I'll come here and I select. You see what I'm doing? And then you see that we are flexible, right? We are moving out from division right up to beneficiary code. That is why XLOOKUP is important. And then if all this doesn't apply, I want to be seeing L, right? No, I want to be seeing 0, sorry. And then I close my data there and I click my tab. So if I come here now and I write Momo, right? You see that it gives me this code B12. So this is very important. Take note of this, okay? So that said, we are finalizing our third session for the data management training. Please make sure you do your assignment and send. Thank you. I know it was not easy today, but yeah, that's what it is. That's Excel. We decided that we have to really share with participants some of those formulas that are always robust at the back of the work that we do, so that they can start already preparing their mind. Like as Theodore said, we are going to be seeing those formulas ahead. The formulas will no longer look strange. Yes, so thank you all so much for your time. We'll just wrap these videos as fast as we can and then share to you on the group through the slides and the drives as well, so you can go through and then do your assignments. And please, we'll be sending another doodle application for you to choose when you will be chanced.